So the last top 10 list, top 10 most impressive metal debuts, seemed to have sparked some controversy. Yeah, apparently the placement of Kill 'Em All was kind of in the wrong place in a lot of people's minds, but no matter. It made me actually think of what my top 10 favorite Metallica songs are, and that's actually the top 10 list I'm going to present with you guys, to you guys today. Now, Metallica was one of my first ever favorite bands. Whenever I first got into them, it was right around the time of Load and Reload, so I kind of came in a little late, I guess you could say. But at the same time, they were also one of the first bands who I completed a discography for. And while that discography is now incomplete, considering there's a couple of, random things here and there that I don't own, I still consider them to be quite a good band, even though they are fiercely overrated by a lot of fans, and they have released some crap. So, all jokes aside about, albums such as Saint Anger and Lulu, I still do have a little bit of respect for Metallica. So, on with the list. Let's actually talk about this, and it's going to be pretty diverse, so don't expect anything, post-2000. The very first track we're going to get to is number 10, The House That Jack Built. This is off of Load. It was not one of the first songs I ever heard because I got Reload first, but the minute that I heard this track, something about it just kind of struck me. Perhaps it was the kind of catchy introduction, perhaps it's the fact that it was one that I tried to replicate on the guitar numerous times throughout my life, or maybe it was just the fact that I just loved the overall, ambiance of this song. Whenever you listen to an album like Load, which is really different, but it has some good stuff on it, These Load and Reload get a lot of crap because, well, there's just way too many songs, so they put them on 2 albums, and, well, if they would have just put the good songs all together, they would have one really, really good and memorable Metallica record. But, whenever you hear a song like The House That Jack Built on Load, you actually get that feeling of, nice, I really like this. This is something that's a little bit different, and that's exactly what it was. Yeah, there's a little bit of wah pedal abuse there, but come on, it's Bob Rock. Bob Rock seems to be absolutely obsessed with the wah-wah pedal. I'm pretty sure whenever he jacks off, it makes a wah noise. Let's go to number 9, Trapped Under Ice. This is off of Ride the Lightning, and it is a fast and furious track. A lot of people were probably thinking that this was going to be, some of the classics such as Ride the Lightning or, Creeping Death or something like that, but actually those two are both not on the list at all. It's actually this song because I really like the furious pace of it. I like the fact that this is the one song where Metallica just decided to sit back and just write a good old-fashioned speed metal song, and on this record, where there is a lot of fast and furious riffs, this one actually shines forth as one of the fastest of all of them. God damn. Yeah, you're going to notice on this list there's a lot of, Metallica classics that are just not there, and one of the big reasons for that is probably going to be because, I hear them all the time. These are songs that if you don't know about them, then you're definitely living under a rock or don't know very much about Metallica. This isn't meant to be an introduction. These are songs that I enjoy the most, so there you go. Number 8, we have The God That Failed. This was off of the Black Album. A lot of people are probably wondering, where's Enter Sandman? Where's The Unforgiven? Where's songs like that? Well, this is the song that I actually remember off of this album the most because it was the one that had kind of that nice, opening introduction, that addicting little hook, that addicting little riff, and these were lyrics that were really, I guess, directed toward James's mother. And this is also a song that has probably one of the catchiest songs that you can use in order to really talk about, no longer believing in God. And it's probably the earliest time in my life that I knew that this was going to be a path that was no longer going to be mine. I was originally Roman Catholic and have since gone and kind of done my own thing. But, it was songs like these where you started to just realize, and, at that time frame, I was way past the age of reason, but I was getting to a point in time where I was learning a lot more about, religion and theology in general, and there were a lot of holes that I was noticing, and, this was a song that was kind of a nice soothing background that kind of reminded me that, keep digging, don't give up, don't be, shielded by the blocks of faith, just keep on looking into it. Number 7 is Bleeding Me off of Load. We're already, a couple of songs, 4 songs in, and we have 2 songs off of Load. What's going on here? Well, Bleeding Me is just probably the centerpiece of Load. It's the one song that I remember off of this album probably the most because it kind of takes all the elements of old Metallica, slows it down to a bitter crawl, and incorporates that blues style pattern, or the whatever pattern that you want to say that they sort of adapted with this cycle of albums, and really just dials it up. And let me tell you, this is one hell of a song. Whenever I hear this song on the radio, I don't care if I'm in my driveway or if I'm 2,000 miles away from my destination, this is a song that I have to hear from front to back because it is just that damn impressive. I love Kirk's solo on this album. The lyrics are a little bit simple, but it doesn't matter whatsoever. It just, all in all, this is 8 minutes of godliness that you have to enjoy. And, whenever you consider that this is the same album that, has, a couple of hits on it, King Nothing to name one, this is one that I remember a whole hell of a lot more because I always liked it whenever Metallica was able to expand past that little 4-minute format. And this was a great example on an album that, well, it had a couple of moments like that, but not nearly enough. I really think that the load and reload cycle were just bogged down by way too much filler, but thankfully, what that also means is that songs like this kind of jut out and kind of expose themselves as obvious choices, so it made making this list a little bit easier. Number 6 is Where the Wild Things Are off of Reload. 3 songs off of Load and Reload. Yeah, it's amazing to think that that was going to happen on this list, but this song is terrific. Whether or not it technically has any sort of motive or reference to the movie itself is up in the air. I mean, really, at this point in time, James was writing about God knows what, or God knows who, for God knows what reason. But this song really incorporates a lot of great facets and a lot of great things. Once again, it's another song where they're able to sort of expand everything up a little bit. They start things off a little bit soft and then kind of go a little bit more furious. The verses are really tight. I really enjoyed the imagery that James is able to present on this song, and the chorus is bar none one of those classic Metallica choruses from the 1990s that really, I think, was underappreciated. I think anybody who owned Load really understood the value of this song, but for those who didn't and just kind of knew of Metallica from their singles, at least on that album, they really missed a really great song. So if you don't know this track, definitely go back and listen to it. It has a lot of value to it. I actually almost replaced the song with Low Man's Lyric, which was a couple tracks later on Reload, and it was mainly for a lot of personal reasons. It was one of the very first songs that ever made me contemplate suicide, to be perfectly blunt. Yeah, it kind of had that power. There was a lot of imagery in there. There was a lot of dank and stark, really brutal truths that were kind of exposed in that, lying straight to the mirror, basically signaling a transformation of somebody who was once maybe a pure or good person into something that they no longer like. I almost think of what a drug user would do whenever he looked into the mirror, reflecting perhaps on, things that happened 5 years ago whenever he was clean and, actually had a life. It's a really weird interpretation, I know, but that's one of the reasons why I like that song. But Where the Wild Things Are makes the list simply because it's tremendous. It's tremendous. Number 5 is One. This is obvious. I mean, I almost really wanted to omit this from the list, but it's hard to. It's hard to omit a song like One considering it has so much power to it. It's almost like omitting a song such as, it's almost like omitting Enter Sandman because it's too poppy, because it really isn't. There's a nice big chunk to it there. But One is a song that is instantly recognizable. The introduction is one that is laced in our minds. A lot of people that probably don't even appreciate metal the same way that some of us do here in the Cover Killer Nation community will probably know all the words to this song. They will know the beat well. They'd be able to recognize it in a crowd. If they played it in a club, they'd probably get excited about it. Yeah. Imagine hearing One in a club. That would really turn all that atmosphere of sweat and testosterone and desires for, mating into a lot of depression. But yeah, this also is a song that executes a diversity in Metallica's song very, very well, and we will hear about that a lot more with number 4. So I'm going to actually combine the two together because number 4 is another obvious choice. It's Master of Puppets. Master of Puppets showcased it by really the blend of the aggressive guitars and then that middle part where they just kind of take things down, they slow it down, and they allow Kurt and James to kind of do most of the work there with the guitars, with the solo, with the rhythm. There's a great bass line in the background provided by Cliff Burton, and of course Lars is doing everything that he can to kind of drive the rhythm and drive the direction of the song. This is kind of like One, only One does so in reverse, where with One they kind of start things off very slowed down with a very chilled and relaxed atmosphere, but setting the scene through the lyrics, and then of course they explode into Hold My Breath As I Wish for Death, Oh Please God Wake Me. But then eventually, near the end of the song, it explodes and becomes just this torrential downpour of thrash, which is one of the reasons why it's a huge thrash staple, because they're able to expand their trademark sound, and they're able to make a large, long song extremely worth it. Master of Puppets did the same thing, only they did it in a different way. That showcases dynamisty. That showcases a band that has a great ear for songwriting and a great ability at the same time. Those two songs are two classic reasons why Metallica in the 1980s was one hell of a motherfucking monster. How about another reason? How about number 3? It isn't one song, it's actually 4. Yeah, Orion, Call of Cthulhu, To Live Is To Die, and Anesthesia Pulling Teeth. The 4 instrumentals off of the first 4 Metallica albums. Why do I love these so much? It's because they're bona fide classic material. This is a band where James did not even have to sing on every single song in order for these to be some of the most respected and most beloved songs on the Metallica discography. The Call of Cthulhu is still a song that many people pray to God that they hear live, and of course we heard a couple of these, Call of Cthulhu especially, whenever they did the live S&M album back in the latter part of the 1990s with the symphony orchestra. That was awesome, that was badass, but that's also what instrumental music can help you do. You can help it with orchestration and do things like that. They didn't have to do that with each and every one of these, but Orion is still the track that just kind of paints the whole entire Metallica picture for me. This is a song that I constantly wanted to kind of write lyrics for, and every single time I tried, I failed because it just, nothing syncs up. And that's the reason why this was meant to be an instrumental piece. This has got a phenomenal build-up. This is what I really like about Orion, is that the fact that it does start off with that little bit of heaviness. It kind of crawls its way into, the midway point, and then it just takes it down. It takes it all the way down and builds it right back up for a thrashing finale. That is once again, like I said for number 4 and 5, the songwriting skill. Call of Cthulhu is all about build. It's all about just kind of taking you on this journey. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're going through the forest, or, going through, some location that's very foreign to you, and you're kind of in the anticipation or a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of foreboding in the air because there's this, monster that is following you. Of course, it's a little bit Lovecraftian in a way. To Live Is To Die is, of course, meant to be a tribute to Cliff Burton, and is a fantastic one. Of course, it has the only lyrics in any of these 4 instrumental mainly pieces, which is the last words that Cliff Burton wrote, and it is a very powerful song. And of course, Anesthesia, the famous bass solo. Man, you can't go wrong with that. Absolutely phenomenal. Why wouldn't I include the one off of Death Magnetic? Because I don't like it as much. I don't think it has that same punch. I don't think it has that same zeal. I really think that these 4 have the drive, they have tight songwriting, and they do everything right. Number 2, Seek and Destroy. This one is just a beauty. I really love this song. It's one of the main reasons why Kill 'Em All is one of my top 10 favorite debut albums, because this song, right from the get-go, they wrote a song about, or that they could use in a live setting and encourage a lot of crowd participation, encourage crowd reaction. And the best part about it is the fact that the song itself, by itself, in a solo setting, whenever you're just listening by yourself, makes you want to do that crowd, that crowd response. It makes you want to say, Seek and Destroy, right along with James. It makes you want to do that. It's a hell of a thrash anthem. It's a hell of a great thrash song. You might wonder why I didn't include the 4 Horsemen. Is it because, Dave Mustaine co-wrote it? Blah, 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 blah. Nah, not really. Motor Breath? Nah. Things like that? No. It's because Seek and Destroy to me is just the best song. It's the better song. In fact, it's one of the best Metallica songs I think of all time, because it really also gave us a little bit of a precursor of what they were going to be doing with their next couple of albums. It showcased that tight songwriting, but they did it in a different setting back then. They did it that way they would have a nice crowd response song that they were able to use during live concerts, and damn was it a good one. And number 1, what is it? What's going to be the number 1 song of all time? It's not even a Metallica song. That's right, Metallica's that good of a band that the song that they did, that is the tops of this list, isn't even one of their own. It's the Merciful Fate medley. the words I could speak about this this song would probably not even compare to its true majesty. This is a band that listened to Merciful Fate whenever they were first getting started. It was one of their keynote influences, and they basically took a medley of a bunch of songs that Merciful Fate had made in the early part of the 1980s, put it together, connected it all together, and goddamn is this beast a motherfucking epic. Starting off with Satan's Fall, going into songs such as Curse of the Pharaohs, you know, Lucifer's Child, going into Evil. You know, there is just so much that could be said about this track that I just don't even know if I can articulate. The guitar sound is fantastic. It's a furious pace. It's something where they don't even have to include the whole entire song, but they do include all of Evil. And that is one of the main reasons why this song is absolutely godly and number one on this list. Not only is Evil one of my favorite Merciful Fate songs of all time, but James and the boys pay it apt tribute and really one up the bar to the point where it's almost just as good, if not better, than the original. I love James's vocals on this, although I will say whenever I'm singing it to the tune of the Metallica version, I almost want to sing and do that high King Diamond register. But let me tell you, James's style is just fine for me as well, because this is something where his vocals actually fit the music. The music actually fits the songs. The songs are legendary, and they were able to take something legendary and make it legendary, as Neil Patrick Harris would say on How I Met Your Mother. God damn, I love this song. God damn, I recommend it to anybody. God damn, that's why it's number one. Yeah, I know this list is going to probably start just as many fires, just as many fights, and cause just as much controversy as Kill 'Em All being number 10 on the top most impressive debuts in metal list. But I don't care, because these are my top 10. What are yours? I'd really like to know. If you think that some of these songs that I omitted because they're too popular or whatever is bullshit, then hey, have at you. But at the same time, this is just my opinion. You have yours. I respect you. You respect me. Let's do it. Subscribe, all that other fun stuff, and stay tuned for tomorrow's top 10 list, because I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. I'm not even sure it's going to be yet. So, yeah.